will is trash. There, I said it. We can do better, and today we are going to talk about doing better. I'm Jim from Numeratus. Today I'm talking about people who spend thousands of dollars on estate planning documents. If you spent thousands of dollars on a will, you made a mistake. I think I spent hundreds on a will, but I can't remember. It may have been included in my benefits package at work. Either way, there is a better way to do this. We're going to use an example. We're going to go over. What typically happens is people work on themselves, they level up at work, acquire assets, meet someone, settle down and have kids. And the ultimate goal is to pass your wealth and or assets down to those children. At least that was my plan. So you go get a will and you determine how you want your assets to be distributed to your children or loved ones. Imagine you've built a $5 million estate. You have a personal residence in a safe area, a business generating income, you're invested in crypto, a 401k, or even a self-directed IRA. The dream is coming together. Now let's get into what happens when you pass and you have a will in place. If you're like me, you're thinking that your will transfers your assets to your children, and if they're underage, to a custodian to manage those assets for them. Easy enough. Well, it doesn't work like that. Your accumulated possessions go into probate. Probate is a legal process where the government, through the courts, takes control of everything you own, and then after paying off your debts and taxes, the court distributes the remainder to your beneficiaries. Here's the process of probate in 5 simple steps. 1. Confirm the will's authenticity. 2. Appoint an executor as determined in the will. 3. Notify beneficiaries and creditors. 4. Pay debts and taxes. 5. Distribute the remaining assets to beneficiaries. Think about that for a second. Distribute the remaining assets to the beneficiaries. That just doesn't sound right to me. They get the remainder. Let's think through this for a minute, because there are a few things I take issue with, and I have a better plan, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. Here's my issues. First, authenticate the will. What happens if some technicality means they find it is not authentic? Well then, your assets are distributed by the state according to its laws. Second issue, notify beneficiaries and creditors. Bennies I understand, but creditors? While it sounds like we're notifying the banks who loaned our business money and hold our mortgage, what is really happening is your estate goes public and anyone with enough knowledge can say, he owes me money, that business owes me money, or I slipped and fell at that business a year ago and I want to sue. Essentially, all that work you did to maintain your privacy and limit your liability, you know, the corporate veil, so to speak, it's shattered. All of that information is out there and available for any bad actors to take advantage of. So at a time when your family is grieving, there is a chance that those bad actors are coming and your will is not protecting them. And by the way, it's not whether they win the court battle or not. It's the fact that your family has to take time to fight the battle at a time when they should be in mourning and at peace. Third issue, pay debts and taxes. The government gets its piece of you first, and they liquidate assets to do it. Do you see how this could be a problem? Should the state or courts liquidate my crypto portfolio to settle my debts and pay fines or attorney's fees? And my last issue with probate, distribute the remaining assets to the beneficiaries. I mean, that just sounds disrespectful. I want to be the boss of who gets what when I go. So in the instance of time, let's assume that we are all on the same page here and that we do not trust wills or probate to protect or to pass our assets down to our children or our children's children. What we want to do here is twofold. One, we want to keep any businesses that we work so hard to build from failing or being consumed by creditors. And two, we want to preserve the value of our assets for future generations of our family. Let me reiterate the example here, because we're getting to the solution. I have done all this work on myself to be a productive member of society. I have a residence, some vehicles, an LLC holding crypto, investments, a digital business that earns passive income, and a business that I'm currently developing. That new business is most likely in debt, and the business earning the passive income is probably paying off its debt as it matures. In order to protect these assets, our privacy, and our family, we want to use a trust. Trust can hold your assets, including businesses, and allow you to control them. If you think about it, your 401k is a trust. It does not go through probate. It goes to the beneficiaries, who can then take distributions, roll them into IRAs, or leave them where they are. They maintain their value, and they are pretty much untouchable. Creating a trust to hold your assets is very similar. You name trustees. You are the first trustee, and when you go, the trust is then controlled by a designated successor trustee. This could be your spouse or children. They will take control of the assets through the trust when you are gone, and those assets continue operating the same as before. And by the way, keep in mind, they are also the beneficiaries. Now, how do we ensure the businesses will go on operating on behalf of our family when we are gone? This is where we have to do some thinking. We could spend time with the successor trustee, our children or spouse, teaching them how to manage the business if they have to take over, or two, we could write up a succession plan explaining the transition of the business when we are gone. We set the rules. It does not follow probate. We could also set up funding to assist with that transition. Maybe we are planning to leave the business in the hands of the people we are working with. They can continue to operate it as usual, but the manager changes. And by manager, I mean trustee. By documenting the procedures of the business, we can ensure it will continue to operate and generate wealth for our family, the trustee, after we are gone. If we did not want to leave it to the people we are working with, having the succession plan and documented procedures will still help with whomever we want to take over, or even sell it. Either way, we are still in control and have it documented. Now, if we are talking about assets, such as a crypto portfolio that is held in a trust, in an LLC, there is nothing to do there. We just want those assets to sit and hold value for future generations. The trustee is tasked with reporting on the assets to the beneficiaries over time. And again, in most cases, the trustee is the beneficiary. I want my children to control the trust when I'm gone, and the assets of the trust are for them. Notice how the assets are not being sold to settle debts or pay off creditors, and there is no one trying to get at them. We do want to keep the trust account funded, but the trustee gets to decide how to fund the account. This could be via business income or selling some of those cryptos. The point is, the trustee gets to decide, not the courts. As a result, the business continues to operate and make its monthly debt payments from its income, and any other assets continue to sit in the trust and hold value. We have avoided the mess of a will and probate, and this allows our family to continue on with what they were doing all along, and of course, to mourn our passing. Now, if you have only a house and a bank account, go ahead and draft a will. But if you have a business and multiple properties, a trust and some planning is, in my opinion, a better idea. If you need help with this or have more questions, book a call with me at Numeratus.us. We've been setting up succession strategies for clients for a while now. We also have a community where we discuss different strategies for different types of businesses and assets, especially crypto. So to wrap this up, it may sound complicated because it's new. I grew up thinking that once you had kids, the right thing to do was draft a will. But that is not the case. And putting your assets in a trust is what preserves privacy, wealth, and income for future generations. And it allows you to avoid the courts, fines, and fees. That's it. I'm Jim. Thanks for watching. Remember, Numeratus.us is where you can book a call. Numeratus.org is the community. Thank you.